And there we go. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Cecil Cockerham, and this is our Tuesday night that we normally talk to, guess who? Dennis Zetti, who has the book. I highly recommend that you go purchase the book if you have not called. What is it? What is it, everybody?
The Quantum of God. Is that right?
Yeah. The Quantum Case for God. Quantum Case for God by Dennis Zetti. Awesome guy that I had a meeting with a few months back. We did a private Zoom, and he really had a lot to say, and he was willing to do this Zoom on Tuesday nights. And he is but he owns his own company, so he has to take off from his own company on Tuesday nights early and able to do this because he lives in Oregon and their time frame is so different. That's the problem about doing these Zooms is people live in different time zones, so it's difficult to reach everybody. And that's the reason why I record them and have them put up on the other website for people to look at later. But anyway, tonight is really, I'm excited about tonight, really. I get to share a few little tidbits myself, but there's a book that I want to suggest everybody go buy it, or at least go find it in a PDF someplace on the internet that you can download it and perhaps even, download it and print it off if you should want to. But it's called The Greatest Secret. The Greatest Secret. It's by Rhonda, R-H-O-N-D-A. Rhonda, B-Y-R-N-E. How'd you say it, Gina?
I believe it's Burn.
Byrne. B-Y-R-N-E. Rhonda Byrne. But anyway, I listened to her or watched the book in a PDF today. Probably spent a couple, 3 hours just taking notes.
And just FYI, Dad, the book is on Amazon for $13.51 right now on sale on Prime.
Oh, that's good. Thank you, son.
You're welcome.
Well, my wife found it. She's always good about finding the deals.
I see somebody that I know. Her name is Tony Caraway Smith, and she's connecting with her audio. I've known this lady for, I'll let her tell you how long I've known her. She's gone through my certification program a long, long time ago. And actually, when I was doing it in a class where she actually attended and she saw me live. And I was, I think she'll tell you that I was somewhat younger in those years. But anyway, hi, Tony. Are you there?
I'm here. I made it. I'm sorry for being late. Hello.
You're better late than never.
Yes,
You're here.
yes.
I was telling them that she was actually in my class live. It wasn't a Zoom. It was when you saw me and you could ask questions in class. What year was that? I can't remember what it was.
I think it was 2010.
Okay.
Yeah.
2010, today's, we're starting 21. Oh my Lord, how time is flying. I think I was younger then.
I think we all was younger then.
How true that is, how true that was. I enjoy those classes because you get to interact with the student and they ask questions and you can kind of communicate and they energize you, the speaker, which was me, and it energizes them that they want to come back and ask questions and learn more of what you're talking about. So those were some good old days. I actually started doing those live in churches, and I know it's really hard for you to believe this, but actually my very first outing of doing that was in 1999 and 2000. I was with a school for about 10 years on staff where I developed my certification classes for these people are going there to get a degree.
Mhm.
But I developed 3 tracks of counseling classes, part of the degree program in counseling, and that's how I ended up earning my first doctorate degree. It wasn't anything that I wrote. I made the curriculum in about 5 or 6 years. I would actually develop the coursework, teach the coursework, then I'd have somebody who took the coursework that was a student, and I advanced them to take over the coursework, and I developed another one. And then I developed that, and then I had a student who took that one and I advanced them to take it over, and then I did a third one. And after the third one, I said, well, I think it's time for me to go on my own. So I went out to the local church. And so I told the founder of the school, I said, you know what? I believe if we took our classes to the church, that people would go to the church and get their education, but they're not necessarily willing to go to the school, the brick and mortar place, to go there for their education, but they would go on the weekends to their church building that they're familiar with, and they would take classes to get their education. I believed it. So I went out on my own, and I went to a church here in Houston area, and we had the best time in the world. I mean, these people spoil me. They absolutely spoil me. They brought food. I'm talking about they brought real food, folks.
That's good.
Now, when we broke for lunch, oh, they brought real food. It was such a delight. And at graduation, they went to the back of the church, and everybody danced in pairs, coming down the middle of the aisle to the podium to get their diplomas. It was out of this world. It really was. And I said, now this is what I would like to do. I think this is what we should do. But you know, when you're dealing with old white-haired folks who've been in education since God, their stance was, well, you know, everybody knows where we're located. If you want to go to school, you come to the school. The school doesn't go to you. You come to the school if you want your education. And that's true, by and large. I mean, if you're going to go Oral Roberts University, you're going to go to Oral Roberts University, right? Or if you're going to go to Rhema Bible School up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, you're going to get in a car and you're going to drive up and get you a place to stay and go to Rhema, right? That's just kind of the way things are or have been. When I went to the seminary in Fort Worth, Texas, well, I didn't live in Texas. I loaded up the car with the kids and the wife, and what we did, we drove and got a place to stay and work in Fort Worth, Texas. That's just how, excuse me, that's just how education worked. The seminary didn't come to me. I went to it. So, sure enough, he said, no, we're not going to do it. I was disappointed.
I'm sure.
I was so excited. Well, I was so excited that I quit. I left school after 10 years. I said, well, I'll go do it myself. I mean, I developed 3 courses. I know what I'm talking about. It's my stuff. But I didn't have anybody to certify me. You know, you may have it, but I didn't have anybody to do it. But I had a friend, and he had a ministry that did certifications. and he did one, but he didn't do anything as elaborate and fulfilling as I had done. So what we did, we joined forces, and together we came up with a program, and we did the certification in the local church. Oh man, we had classes up to 65 people at one time. Well, I never had 65 students in a brick and mortar place. I mean, I would have 25 or 30 students. And that was a nice class if you had 30 students. But I would have to go to a semester and then go to another semester. You know how school works. But we could go for like 6 or 7 Saturdays from 9 to 5, and we could get all that work in a short period of time that people were willing to sacrifice a few Saturdays of their time to get their certification. And how fulfilling it was for everybody involved. As Tony can tell you about it better than I can, because she was a student back in 2010. Was that a satisfying experience for not only you, but for the other students as well?
Oh, yeah, it was. It really was. Because you had the one-on-one experience, and other people was there and you got their input at the same time instead of not being, with a group of people. So it was really, really informative. I wish those classes were still available like
I wish
that.
they were too.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just the way things are today. I'm hopeful sometime in the future that actually one of these days we'll do a big announcement and actually set one up in some church one day. That actually a big blowout one day, something another about counseling, coaching, mentoring, and the quantum ideas. Kind of like a 9 to 5. I mean, like an all day with a break for lunch that we'll do some kind of big quantum revelation training that I'll put on one day. So that's my hope when things are available. Now there is Cindy. Now if y'all want to talk to an informative, educated, articulate, exciting woman, you're now looking at her on this Zoom meeting. Hi, Cindy.
Hey there, Dr. Cecil. You're very kind. Hey, everybody.
Hey, Cindy.
If I had your brain, I would throw mine away.
I don't think so.
Now, she's a delightful person, and she comes on, and she usually has some really insightful stuff that's kind of like, because she's a little bit more on the charismatic stuff side. I come from a more, I'm a Southern Baptist background.
I was
Southern
raised
Baptists don't
Southern
have
Baptist.
woo-woo.
No, I was raised Southern Baptist.
Well, we're not woo-woo people in Southern Baptist. Now, I moved on to charismatic later on, because I was kind of like one of those guys on the front row to go to one of those meetings, because I want to know, okay, what are they really doing up there? I'm trying to check them out. They're doing something crazy up there, and I don't know what it is. I want to know what they're doing. I go up on the front row, and I would watch every little move they made. Then I got converted too.
I went from Baptist to charismatic. I was never Pentecostal.
Oh, you went on the other end completely then.
I did.
Yeah. A lot of people have all these different levels or different modalities that they go through to get to where let me say this honestly to everybody here. We all, well, there's no way to get it back. We all came out of a modality that's basically evangelical type of teaching.
Yep.
That's all there was. You there was nothing, you didn't have a choice. Well, you were a Baptist or a Methodist or whatever, but
Yep.
you know, we come up, and then we kind of like, okay, maybe there's something else. And then we said, well, we found out that, but maybe there was something else. Like I was doing, looking at all these guys in the charismatic movement, you know, people are slain in the spirit and all that stuff. And I said, well, okay, what are they doing here? I don't know. I mean, we never had anything happen like that in our Baptist church where I grew up. But a lot of different little modalities you go through to be where you are today. But I'm saying, in fact, I was talking to Gina and my wife, Tim Cockerham, on the call as well. I was just talking to them a little bit about the stance today. I'm really simple. It's really simple.
Yeah.
We're just spirit beings.
Amen.
That's all there is.
Very much.
You didn't have a choice about being birthed. You didn't ask your mom and dad to be birthed. And you didn't ask God about being birthed because you were birthed out of God first. Because when the sperm and the egg meet, there is light, scientifically proven. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Light. What do you think that is? It's spirit. It's God.
Yes.
You were born again at conception, folks.
Exactly.
You weren't born again when you got up there and said a prayer sometime. That's religion. That didn't get you
Right.
any place. That did nothing for you whatsoever. And you didn't have nothing about your physical birth. And you have nothing to do with your spiritual birth. And you had nothing about anything going on. It was a plan from the beginning by God and God alone. And we just flow within the plan. I'm
Yeah.
simple. I'm going to tell y'all what. Oh, I talk about a whole lot of stuff. But let me tell you the truth. If you could look at my brain, it would say, he's just a plain simple guy. Spirit. You had nothing to do with either one, your physical or your natural birth or your spiritual birth. It was all a plan. God planned you to be down here. I'm in this time and space and time because this was my time to be here as a human being, as a spirit being, that you get to see me and you get to hear me, and then you got to follow me or not follow what I talk about. It's just really, really, I think, that's simple. Y'all got a comment about that? Is that simple? Is that too simple?
No, I think we have complicated it so much through the years and made our lives so much more complicated than they actually are.
Religion can complicate stuff, folks.
Mhm.
I mean, really. I
Yeah.
love the word religion when you go look up the root. You know, it's two words, R-E, religion. R-E is a prefix. Like you got to rework it,
Yep.
redo it, whatever. And religion, when you look up in the Latin, the Latin.
Latin.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's to return to bondage when you break it down.
Sure
Well, I
is.
mean-
Bind. Mhm.
Yeah, it's just a return to bondage, all it means.
Return to bondage.
Isn't that amazing?
I think religion always seeks to decapitate the body.
I hadn't heard that.
It separates the body from the head.
Mhm.
I had
And
not heard that. Thank you.
and whenever you are you know, I say in present truth, and you're, you know, speaking in present truth, you seek to maintain the body and the head together. We're one, we're Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that because it's so many people leaving the church, and people are not actually should be leaving the church. We should be bringing believers into the body, into the church. And so many people get disappointed because the way they do religion now, you know, instead of the spirit realm, you know, it's like so many people leaving and don't want to be a part of the body anymore.
Well, they're looking for what I'm talking about, true spirituality.
They're disappointed. They come to church and they love Jesus. They want to see people who are going to be manifesting heaven and Jesus, and they go to church and it's disappointing because people aren't doing that.
Right. Right.
But the
Think
church will put them back into bondage.
Yes.
exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
you've heard about, they operate on this returning customers.
Mhm.
They operate on the idea of giving you enough to have you to return to them, because now they have the money to continue their process. So it's an endless process of paying and returning customers, paying and returning customers.
Yeah.
And
I was told.
it's
I was
it's
told.
a cycle.
Right. I was told in one church, not me personally, but it was preached over the pulpit. If you're not contributing, if you're not doing this, you know, give your seat up and let somebody else soak up the air and give your seat up. And so, you know, it's like, am I really hearing this? Some people come into the church and are not able to give their 10% because of their financial means and things like that, but they are pressured. And they don't go because they are not the ones that pass the envelope or when the tray passed, because they're so embarrassed that they don't want to be seen in the church because they just don't have it to give, when others are at a high pedestal and they treat the people that do give at a higher pedestal than the ones that don't. So I've been so disappointed, as being in the Baptist church and church that I and my husband have been going to for years, two churches, and I had not experienced anything different besides those two churches. Just been hurt in the church and never really wanted to go back. But because of my relationship with Christ, it's keeping me strong to be that person that someone else can see me and, the Christ in me, instead of, worrying about what's going on.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
In fact, the tithe that's normally preached out of the old covenant is not even a tithe that it doesn't even exist.
Hey, under the new covenant, we give 100%.
Yeah.
Ourselves.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Right.
We're all in.
We're all in. It's all about us completely in. 100% is right. Anyway, let me mention this book, because you guys didn't start right at the beginning about the book. It's called The Greatest Secret. The Greatest Secret. This is a book that was suggested by Mike Popovich Saturday. His service is on Saturdays at 6 o'clock. But it's by Rhonda, 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 BYRNE, BYRNE. And she's written this book called The Greatest Secret, and Mike talked about it Saturday in the message and highly recommended it. He preached about the concepts in that book. So I was curious today to, Tim, my son's on. Tim, what does the book cost on Amazon?
$13.51 on sale on Amazon Prime.
$13.51 on Amazon.
Okay.
Now today I'm cheap. Today I love PDFs. So I went on and I looked for that book in a PDF, and I found it where I could download it and read it. So I spent about probably 2 or 3 hours today reading that book online. And I took some notes. So I'm going to give you some random notes from my reading today. And I'm not going to tie them together. I just want you to hear them. And I think you'll get the feeling of what the book is about. And I would hope that you would buy the book. It's absolutely outstanding. He says, just be aware of a negative feeling without resisting it, expressing it, or judging it in any way. And recognize that it's just a feeling. Do not make any attempts to change the feelings. When you stop wanting to get off of the feelings and you stop resisting it, the energy will release and the feeling can disappear. Counterintuitive of what we do. We're going to bind and loose that thing.
Oh no.
We're going to get it off our back. We're going to get rid of it. If you stop resorting an emotion, it cannot stand. You got to stop the negative response to that emotion. Do you know I've been teaching for 25 or 30 years? And this is a truth. Emotions do not have brains.
That's right.
You know what emotions do? They piggyback on top of our thoughts.
Yes.
As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Is his actions or reaction? You cannot have a emotion without a thought, folks. You think you can have an emotion? Emotions don't have a brain. They don't think for themselves. They have no volition. Let me say it that way. They have no volition.
Mhm.
So anytime you don't feel like you don't like the feeling that you're feeling, all you got to do is go back and say, okay, what am I thinking?
That's
That's all you
good.
got to do. I've been teaching 25 years. Even before ever this lady even thought about writing this book, I was teaching that. You can't have a feeling unless you have a thought. That's just a fact. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. His actions or reactions are based on what? What he's thinking. So if you don't like the way you feel, you got to check, okay, what's underneath the hood? What are you thinking up here? That's making you feel down here terrible, depressed, out of sorts, or
Yeah,
whatever.
as a person of, surviving the things that I've survived, depression and things like that, right? I'm easily triggered when someone says something, but it's up to me whether I take that emotion and keep it
Yeah.
and act on it in a bad way. A situation happened to me today when my husband said something and I didn't like it. I could be around here just, pity partying and just going over and over with that emotion and cause other things to happen. But because I know his personality, I know this, just leave it, let it go. And just,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So I get what you're saying, and that's true.
That's what she's saying in this book. She's saying if you just let it go, it disappears.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, here's an example that she gave. If you have a hand here, and you have a hand here, and you got two people, and you're pressing against each other. If one of the two people let their hand go, guess what happens to the other one? It has to drop it because it has nothing to press against.
Right.
There's no resistance. And that's what she's saying in the essence of this book. Let it go. Don't fight it. It's just an emotion. And she says it will just subside by itself because there's no push to hold it up. It just drops off. And that it's simple, but it's counterintuitive to how we actually feel. Oh, I'm gonna get in there. Wait, they're gonna get a piece of my mind. You know how we are. Come on.
So one time I was at a health food store and there was a lady, I think she was grading papers. I was getting water and she looked at me and she said, "Are you a teacher?" And I said, "I am." I can't believe you asked me that. She goes, I knew what she meant. You just kind of know. I guess she was a teacher, obviously. Well, we got to talking and she was a Quaker. And she was so cool. And somehow we were talking and I said something like, yeah, my mother always taught me I had to pick and choose my battles. And now Quakers are pacifists. And so she looks at me and she goes, why have any?
Oh, was that good or what? That was good.
I
Oh,
know,
that-
I'll never forget it. It was like,
That was a
wow.
wow moment. That's a wow moment. That's a wow moment. Say that one more time. I got to hear that.
She just said, well, I was saying, my mom always taught me to pick and choose my battles. And she just looked at me and said, why have any?
That's so good. I wish I could have thought of that.
Me too. But I got tickled because I realized she was a Quaker, so she didn't believe in fighting
Right.
or war, being a pacifist. And I went, there's a lot of good stuff right there.
Oh man, she can
That's
write
the
a
opposite.
book.
That's
She can
the
write a
opposite.
book on that topic. Yeah.
Really? Because you know how we're taught to do spiritual warfare and battle and fuss
Oh
and
yeah.
fight
Oh
and
yeah.
beat the devil up every day.
Well, I didn't know all that stuff existed until I got around the charismatic movement. Oh my God. Oh my
For real.
God.
Oh my
hell,
God.
but they were. And I thought about, if these charismatics have been binding and loosing the devil for these hundreds of years, why is that boy still loose?
For real. Does this work?
Like somebody letting him loose somewhere.
Somebody's going and undoing everything we're
They
doing.
sure are.
Right?
If we're convincing ourselves that we are resisting bad feelings, we make them go away. But instead, we are guaranteeing that we will experience them over and over and over again. What you resist, persist. What you resist, persist. But it just continues. Because we give it the power.
That's
It had no
right.
power on its own. We empowered it with our own word. We have the power in our own words.
That's it.
And we give it, which had no power, its power by our power. Isn't that something? Take away resistance in any negative feeling, no matter how strong, passes through the body quickly. Example is that pressing your hand against another hand. When that other hand goes away, the resistance is gone and there's nothing left. This is opposite to what we usually do, what we have been taught to do. The energy behind a negative feeling will naturally release when you allow the feeling to be present. Just let it be present. It's an emotion. It's an automatic process. And nothing is trying to push it away. And what we do, we just bind and loosen, we rebuke, we do all the pressing. We can press on as hard as we can press on. And it just keeps on showing back up again and again. Don't be afraid of feelings. Let them come up and then they'll just release themselves. Because we're not giving it any power. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they said that. They said that. Okay. So what? It wasn't true. But we don't do anything, just let it go. A bout of extreme anger. This is interesting. A bout of extreme anger can fall away in and under a minute if we simply are aware of it, allow it to be there, and don't resist it. Just allow it to be. When your negative emotions are released, it opens up all positive possibilities: health, finance, good jobs, relationships, and etc. See, it gives now everything is an opportunity to happen because you're letting the real you be the you that you're operating in, which is your spirit being. A feeling is only energy. I got to say that one more time. That's so good. A feeling is only energy. Love is the highest energy. Love never fails. And what do we say? God is love. Wow, that's a message in itself right there. Happiness is your natural state of being. So if you don't feel happiness right now, then you have a negative feeling that is stopping that happening from being present, and you're enjoying it. One more minute, we'll close up. Be aware of a negative feeling without resisting it, expressing it, or judging it in any way, and see that it's just a feeling. Every negative feeling alerts you to the fact that you're believing stories that are not true. I gotta say this one more time. That is so good. Every negative feeling alerts you to the fact that you're believing stories that are not true.
That's good.
Man alive. I'm gonna do some teaching on this, by the way. This what I've watched. I'm gonna watch some more. I'm gonna listen to more of her stuff and put together some teachings. But I'm pumped over just these. These are just some. I took just a few notes today because I said this is too good to not take some notes. When you release your negative feelings about a subject you feel strongly about, you are releasing all the energy you have focused on it and are disempowering the circumstances surrounding the subject.
This is
Just
good.
let it go. Let it go.
Yeah, this is good for people that's living with past hurts and pains.
Yeah. Now, if you follow me for any time at all, you know I have a process called How to Get Rid of Negative Emotions. I don't know if any of you have heard any of my teachings on that, but I do that. In fact, it's my biggest thing that I do. How you deal with trapped emotions, because we all have trapped emotions. Everybody. If you've ever had an operation on your body, it's an invasion of your body, and it's a trapped emotion. You've ever had a divorce, it's a trapped emotion. You've ever been fired from a job, it's a trapped emotion. If you're embarrassed by your boss before your coworkers, that's a trapped emotion. So we all have trapped emotions. And what I have done, I've studied two modalities. And I'm not going to teach them tonight because I have a whole teaching on all of that in the Quantum Revelation training that I have at www.quantumlifenow. www.quantumlifenow.org. There is 12 modules. 12 modules there at www.quantumlifenow.org. 12 modules to get certified as a quantum revelation trainer. You get a certification through that. And I normally charge $1,200 for 12 modules. But for the last month and the rest of this month, I've been running it. It's on the special. It's on the page. It's all automatic and automated. $200 for the course. You heard me. I'm giving it away. $1,200 for $200.
That's awesome.
I don't know what I can do with it more than just give it away.
Mhm.
$200 for the whole 12 modules, including the certification. And I'll tell you what, in that program is what I use with my mentoring program in 2019. All that training for a year, I saved it up and I hired a guy from Uganda to build the website. He uploaded all that training on that website for me and put it into a program for certification. Took him several months to do that. But it's all the work that I did with mentors for 2019 for that graduation. Now, here's the caveat to it. I've got newer stuff that I have available over at www.iocc.us. That's the Institute of Counselor Certification Incorporated, which is my oldest nonprofit. iocc.us. And in that program, I have a certification program where I come up what my newest of the new from the quantum over there. Excuse me, over there. So now what I've done, the people who buy the quantum, www.quantum revelation training, the quantum life now, for $200, I'm actually giving them a discount over at their new one that they can get that training for $100 once they finish that and they got the certificate from the first one. Then I'll give them the second one over there for $100, but you would have to email me and say, I'll finish that one. I'd like to get the other additional new stuff that you've done and I'll give that to you for $100. That's just to cover some costs doing it.
That's awesome.
Well, that's my newest of the new in two different programs and two different websites that are available. Anyway, if you guys are looking to do that, let me know, and I'd be happy to help you anyway. But anyway, I love this thing I've talked about tonight from this gal, Rhonda. Yeah, are y'all liking this at all?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
good stuff.
I'm not going to take long to do this. We'll soon close this out. I want to open it up to you guys as you ask any kind of questions about what we're doing and why we're doing what we're doing. Because next week, Dennis will be back talking about the quantum ideas from the book. And by the way, you know, he is slipping in some of the new stuff that he's actually has not written the book, but it's some of the new ideas. In fact, last week was actually some of the new stuff that he's not made the book yet, but that's going to be in the book, what we got last week, by the way. And that's over there at www.quantumspirituality.net. And my web lady has already put that up from last week. You can certainly go over and listen to him talk about that. But that information over there is from last week, and that's some of his new stuff. He doesn't tell you it's new, but it is. It's not in the book. It's supposed to be part of the new book he's going to be writing or is writing. So anyway, I'm going to open it up for a few minutes and then we're going to close out for the evening. Anybody got any questions?
I just have a comment.
Okay.
Not really a question tonight, but a comment, which you were talking about how when we change our perspective on negative situations and how I believe we were created in the image of the Creator, which makes us creators.
Yes.
Okay, so we were created in the image of God who was the creator. So we're creators, so we can create our own reality. We have the power to do that. So I found that out when I was a little girl, and my grandmother used to tell me, it is what you make it.
Well, she was a smart woman.
She said that to me.
Yeah, and you believed it though you were a small child.
When I was a small child,
Yeah.
I would say, like all my cousins were boys, and they were mean and crazy, and you know how boys are, especially to little girls. And so they were being rough with me, and you know, not wanting me to play. So I'd come in and you know be complaining about that,
Sure.
and she would say, "It is what you make it."
Smart woman.
And I decided to get tough with them and get out there and play with them and play ball with them. And I got hurt, I got scratched, I got tough, and I became one of them.
You blended in.
I had to adapt.
There you
Yes.
go.
I stopped being a victim and a crybaby, and I decided to get in the game.
There you go.
That was good. Well, she gave you some good advice, I think.
She did. She
Yeah.
said, "It is what you make it." So
You,
that's
it is what you
always
make it.
I always hear that in my mind when I think negative thoughts. I hear my grandmother say, "It is what you make it."
Write that down.
In fact, I got T-shirts that say that. I sell them. It is what you make it.
I want to write that down because that's so good. I don't want to forget that.
It's so good.
It is good. I like it.
It's so good. My Aunt Sarah, who was her oldest daughter, my mother's sister, she used to be an executive with AT&T over 9 states. She was the first female executive for AT&T. Used to be called Western Electric. I'm in Atlanta. So in the southern part of the country, it was called Western Electric, and then became AT&T. She was an executive over 9 states. And so she would go into board meetings with all these men, and they'd knock off about 4:45 and say, "We're going to go get drinks at the bar," and they'd go to trying to get rid of her.
Yeah.
But she had to go. They were not done with their meeting, so she had to follow along, tag along. Here she is, a mother, had to go cook dinner, had to go get the laundry going. They had wives doing that. She didn't. And so she had to go follow them at happy hour and sit in there with them while they're, telling off-color jokes and trying to really to make her quit. They were just trying to run her off, And so she came home one day. Came by my grandmother's house, her mother, and said, complaining about it. These men, they're telling these dirty jokes. They're trying to get me to quit, and they're trying to do all this. And my grandmother said, "Well, it is what you make it." So she went out after their next meeting. She went over to the bar with them. Of course, she didn't drink, and they were in there having their toddies and telling off-color jokes, smoking cigars. And she goes, "Okay, guys, let's get to the business. I got stuff to do." She goes, let's finish up with this meeting because I got to get home. And she just took charge.
She took charge, large and in charge.
It is what you make it.
Large and in charge. Yep. Any other comments from anybody tonight? Because we'll close out. I'm going to save this and I'm going to send it to my webmaster to put up over at the website. But anyway, I enjoy this thing about the book. I'm glad that I hope you guys are listening to Mike. He's my favorite teacher, I'll be honest with you. 6 o'clock, Saturdays. He's out of Colorado Spring, Colorado. Yeah, Colorado Spring, Colorado.
I heard him do a 10-minute, I think a little 10-minute show on YouTube, and he was talking about prayer, and it was awesome.
His prayers ain't nothing like prayer that you guys are even heard about. Not at all.
It's wonderful.
Yeah,
Thank you for telling us about him.
yeah, he's my man. In fact, I had him to pray for this right here.
Amen.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, they're awesome people over in that church. Their church service is not like any other church. I call him the happiest pastor I've ever seen.
That's awesome.
Wow.
He'll be just talking about something, all of a sudden he's talking about the ball game. About something at the stand. He's just there's nobody like him. Everybody else is so serious. And he has great insights of what I call true spirituality. I call it true spirituality. Anybody else? And I'm going to close out this and save it to my computer and get it over to the webmaster tomorrow. Gina,
No,
Tony,
It was good
Kim,
tonight, Doc.
it was.
thank you guys for being
Yeah.
part of this class. I had a
Thank
lot
you
of
so
people that were
much.
going to be here, but they did not. So we're just going to exit out of here. And I think I can go down here and stop this someplace.
Night, everybody.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Blessings.
You
Blessings.
too.
Good
Thank
night.
you. Good night.
Good night.